This is the Bible Book Club.
And we're in the book of Numbers.
Welcome to the club. In episode 13, we covered chapters 24 and 25, and this was the tail end of our donkey story. Balaam gave 4 more messages or oracles to King Balak's horror because they were blessings for Israel, but curses for Moab and a few other nations thrown in. Then we read and discussed the graphic story of Israel's seduction by Moab. Moab worshipped the fertility god Baal. The women of Moab, on Balaam's recommendation, seduced the Israelite men in an effort to make God angry at them. God did get really angry, and then he sent a plague. Zimri brought a Baal-worshipping woman into the camp right in front of Moses' face. Phinehas, the priest, the grandson of Aaron, was not having any such impurity on his watch and speared them both at the same time, killing them dead.
Yeah. All right. We are going to go into our second census, chapter 26. Now, this second census is nearly 40 years after the first one. It brings us back to the purpose of the book of Numbers. We need a new count, a new number for the new generation. It is time to pass the torch from the old generation of fighting men at the start of Numbers to the new generation, a new number of fighting men who will take Israel into the promised land. Remember, that was the purpose for the first census. There are 2 purposes for this census, not just one. It is a military count and only includes men old enough to fight. But it is also a count to determine the size of the tribes and therefore the size of their allotted land once they take possession. There are some differences between the first and second census. This census has a little more detail, listing the families and clans of each tribe. Heather's going to really love reading this. Despite 30 years of disobedience and wandering in the wilderness, 7 tribes are trending for good reason and had increased in size. 5 had decreased. The total number of men in the second census is 601,730 compared to the first census of 603,550. The Israelites have decreased in total by 1,820 men. They would have increased had they not had the plague in the last episode. Since the last of the condemned older generation had died after the Israelites left Kadesh and before the apostasy with Moab, the 24,000 that died in the apostasy plague belonged to the younger generation. Assuming many or all of those who died were men, this new census would have shown a significant increase in population had they avoided that plague. Remember, the Levites are not considered one of the 12 tribes, so they're not counted among the fighting men. And they do not get land, as discussed in other episodes. They were to serve God throughout the land in specific cities. All right, now here's the scene. The scene opens with the words, "After the plague, the Lord said to Moses," which gives us a big hint that we are at a turning point. The old generation is gone. The new generation has been purged by a plague that they hopefully will never forget. God is about to begin a new work with a new generation. They will have tests as their parents before them, but the promised land looms like a light of hope on the horizon. What was Moses feeling? Think about this. Almost 40 years ago, God asked him to take a census at Mount Sinai. This was way in the beginning of their journey. They're so full of hope. He, with his faithful older brother Aaron beside him, had obeyed. As he counted in this new census, was he missing Aaron? Was he remembering all of his friends, his entire generation, whom he had counted in the first census, all gone? Did he long for what could have been? Had all his friends been allowed to rejoice in the promised land with him? As he counted all the new faces, with Eleazar instead of Aaron, Aaron's son now at his side, was he sad or was he hopeful? This moment had to be so bittersweet for Moses. And with every man that was counted and every preparation for war completed, did Moses sense that his time was drawing near? His time as leader is coming to an end as Israel's story begins anew with the census. It is as though the wandering in the wilderness never even happened. And this group of people, this new generation, has just left Egypt. Try to picture the seriousness of this head count. Men are lining up by tribe, by clan, by family to claim their inheritance, the land. Not just any land, milk and honey land. Land that will provide for their family forever. And the amount of land you get is determined by your presence in this count and by the strength and numbers of your family, clan, tribe. And the number of your tribe is starting to reflect the faithfulness of your tribe. In fact, the pride of the tribe is based on the actions of the people and of their forefathers. The count is not just a reflection of how many people they have. It's a reflection of how faithful their people have been and a prediction of who they will be in the future. This is the second census.
I think he was probably both sad and hopeful. I think he was regretting some of the things that went on in those 40 years, but I think he also realizes that this new generation are the ones that can bring the whole tribe into the promised land. And so that's an exciting thing to be a part of.
Yeah, I agree. That's why I think it was bittersweet. It was bitter in thinking what could have been, but it was sweet in that God brought it about anyway.
Yeah, and probably there's a gratefulness in the process of learning and growing.
Yeah.
All right. Chapter 26. After the plague, the Lord said to Moses and Eleazar, son of Aaron the priest, take a census of the whole Israelite community by families, all those 20 years old or more, who are able to serve in the army of Israel. So, on the plains of Moab, by the Jordan across from Jericho, Moses and Eleazar the priest spoke with him and said, take a census of the men 20 years old or more, as the Lord commanded Moses. These were the Israelites who came out of Egypt. The descendants of Reuben, the firstborn son of Israel, were, through Hanok, the Hanokite clan, through Palu, the Paluite clan, through Hezron, the Hezronite clan, through Carmi, the Carmenite clan. These were the clans of Reuben. Those numbered were 43,730. The son of Palu was Eliab, and the sons of Eliab were Nemiel, Dathan, and Abram. The same Dathan and Abram were the community of officials who rebelled against Moses and Aaron and were among Korah's followers when they rebelled against the Lord. The earth opened its mouth and swallowed them along with Korah, whose followers died when the fire devoured the 250 men, and they served as a warning sign. The line of Korah, however, did not die out.
All right, a little back history. So go back to Genesis season 1 if you really want to understand what's going on here, but I'm going to give you the highlights. Reuben was the firstborn son of Jacob. Now, this is a tribe that has decreased in size from the first census by 2,770 men. So they're just not doing the right things. Jacob's prophecy about Reuben, this tribe, in Genesis 49 was this: Reuben, you are my firstborn, my might, the first sign of my strength, excelling in honor, excelling in power. Turbulent as the waters, you will no longer excel, for you went up onto your father's bed, onto my couch, and defiled it. So Reuben started out good, but here's the history. Reuben never repented from sleeping with his father's concubine. Like Esau, he chose immediate gratification over the opportunity to lead Israel. His character, turbulent as the waters, was too unstable to lead well. Now here's the outcome. The double portion that should have been Reuben's as the firstborn went to Joseph through his sons, and the leadership went to Judah. We're going to get more of that coming up. As for Reuben and his tribe, in Numbers 32, we're going to find out Reuben and Gad tell Moses they want to settle on the wrong side of the Jordan rather than settle in the promised land, even though Moses warns them against it. No king, judge, or prophet came from the tribe of Reuben. The lesson? The solution to an unstable character is to learn self-control.
And to repent.
repeat. The lesson has not been learned yet by this tribe, and that's why we had this aside that Heather read about Korah. On top of the history of their forefather, Reuben's descendants prove that they are still too unstable to lead by following Korah in the rebellion in Numbers 16.
Verse 12, the descendants of Simeon by their clans were through Nemuel, the Nemulite clan, through Jamin, the Jaminite clan, through Jachin, the Jachinite clan, through Zerah, the Zerahite clan, through Shaul, the Shaulite clan. These were the clans of Simeon. Those numbered were 22,200.
Okay, Simeon is the tribe with the worst census outcome, as one would expect from Zimri. It's all Zimri's fault from the last episode. This tribe had the most radical decrease. The tribe went from being the third largest in the first census with 59,300 men to the smallest with 22,200 men, a loss of 37,100 men. Moses does not even reiterate why this tribe is so small. Perhaps Zimri's blatant and shocking sin in following Baal is still too fresh in Moses' memory to even talk about it. We can assume that the majority of the 24,000 who died in the apostasy plague came from this tribe. Jacob's prophecy about Simeon in Genesis 49 was this: Simeon and Levi are brothers. Their swords are weapons of violence. Let me not enter into their council. Let me not join in their assembly, for they have killed men in their anger and hamstrung oxen as they pleased. Cursed be their anger so fierce and their fury so cruel. I will scatter them in Jacob and disperse them in Israel. Here's the history. Simeon and Levi secretly and vengefully killed the Shechemites in Genesis 34. Great story. Outcome? Together, the sons were dangerous, so they will be divided and scattered. Simeon's tribe settled within Judah's territory in the Promised Land, and we have a map of that in the show notes again, of all these territories that we're going to talk about. Simeon's tribe is totally omitted in Moses' blessing in Deuteronomy 33. So mad is Moses still at this tribe that they are just not even talked about. Moses probably is like stricken them from his vocabulary. The lesson for us is a continued walk away from God leads to elimination.
Verse 15, the descendants of Gad by their clans were through Zephon, the Zephonite clan, through Haggai, the Haggite clan, through Shuni, the Shunite clan, through Onzi, the Onzite clan, through Iri, the Irite clan, through Arodi, the Arorite clan, through Areli, the Arelite clan. These were the clans of Gad. Those numbered were 40,500.
Gad's another one that decreased in size by 5,150. They are now 10th in size. Here's Jacob's prophecy about Gad in Genesis 49. Gad will be attacked by a band of raiders, but he will attack them at their heels. Here's the history. Gad chose not to live in the Promised Land, but stayed to the east side of the Jordan. Outcome: it just wasn't a good choice, and they were constantly at war with surrounding Amorites and Midianites. But it seems that Gad fought hard, and some of Gad's victories are recorded in 1 Chronicles 5 and 12. The lesson for us would be press on toward the goal to win the prize for which God has called you. Maybe they would have fared better if they had crossed the Jordan.
Well, another lesson is if God told you to go to one place, don't go to another place, because there's a reason.
Exactly.
They would have been protected.
Exactly.
Verse 19, Er and Onan were the sons of Judah, but they died in Canaan. The descendants of Judah by their clans were through Shelah, the Shelonite clan, through Perez, the Perizzite clan, through Zerah, the Zerahite clan. The descendants of Perez were through Hezron, the Hezronite clan, through Hamul, the Hamulite clan. These were the clans of Judah. Those numbered were 76,500.
So this one had a little preface about Er and Onan, who were sons of Judah but died in Canaan. And that is a story I cannot go into. You got to go back to season 1 and listen to it, because Judah our star tribe, and this tribe is the star. But Judah, the son of Jacob, actually had a little rebellious period where he left his family and went to Canaan, and two of his sons died there. All right, so this star tribe also is the tribe with the scepter. We know that the star, just recently mentioned by Balaam in the last episode, is going to come from this tribe. It is Jesus. Therefore, it is not a surprise that this tribe has maintained its status as the leader and increased in size, going from 74,600 to 76,500. It is 3 times the size of the smallest tribe, Simeon. But even the tribe of Judah is not without regrets, and those are humbly professed prior to the listing of their descendants. This story about Judah is wrapped up in the story of Tamar, a Canaanite woman who was married to Er, who died, and then to Onan, who also died, the 2 sons who died in Canaan. Tamar, their widow, dressed up as a prostitute to trick Judah into sleeping with her. She becomes the mother of Perez by Judah. It is a great story with lots of lessons and outcomes. Listen to season 1, episode 30. Jacob's prophecy about Judah in Genesis 49 is this: Judah, your brothers will praise you. Your hand will be on the neck of your enemies. Your father's sons will bow down to you. You are a lion's cub, Judah. You return from the prey, my son. Like a lion, he crouches and lies down. Like a lioness, who dares to rouse him? The scepter will not depart from Judah, nor the ruler's staff from between his feet, until he to whom it belongs shall come, and the obedience of the nations shall be his. He will tether his donkey to a vine, his colt to the choicest branch. He will wash his garments in wine, his robes in the blood of grapes. His eyes will be darker than wine, his teeth whiter than milk. Here is the history. Judah's name means praised because as the 4th son born to Leah, she gave up trying to please Jacob and found joy in pleasing God. Judah himself certainly had cause for praise. He repented from sin, unlike Reuben, the firstborn who did not, and he offered to give his life to save his brother Benjamin in the story of Joseph. Outcome: Judah was given, first and foremost, the privilege of being in the line of Christ. He was given power over his enemies, power over his brothers, as the tribe of Judah rules over the others through the line of David. The lion figuratively represents kingship, and the tribe of Judah would rule in Israel until he whom it belongs, or the Messiah, comes. Verse 11 through 12 refers physically to the portion of land Judah was given, the wine district in the south, and it refers symbolically to the nation of Israel as the vine which God has planted and which we as Gentile believers are grafted into. Today, we call Hebrew people Israelites or Jews, which is short for Judahites. The lesson for us is this: God does not require perfection, but he does require repentance. Judah was not a perfect man, nor was his tribe a perfect tribe, but they did repent from their sins and tried to be faithful.
Verse 23, the descendants of Issachar by their clans were through Tola, the Tolite clan, through Puah, the Puite clan, through Jashab, the Jashabite clan, through Shimron, the Shimronite clan. These were the clans of Issachar, whose numbered were 64,300.
Issachar increases in size by 9,900 and is the 3rd largest clan. Jacob's prophecy about Issachar in Genesis 49 was this: Issachar is a raw-boned donkey lying down among the sheep pens. When he sees how good is his resting place and how pleasant is his land, he will bend his shoulder to the burden and submit to forced labor. The history is that Issachar received a small but fruitful territory. The outcome was it made life easy and they were too lazy to withstand encroaching enemies. However, Deuteronomy 33:19 states that this people will summon people to the mountain, which is interesting because the Sermon on the Mount was given in Issachar's territory. The lesson for us is to those whom much is given, much is expected if they don't get lazy.
Verse 26, The descendants of Zebulun by their clans were through Sered, the Seredite clan, through Elon, the Elonite clan, through Jahleel, the Jahleelite clan. These were the clans of Zebulun. Those numbered were 60,500.
Zebulun increases in size by 3,100 and are the fourth largest tribe. Jacob's prophecy about Zebulun is this: Zebulun will live by the seashore and become a haven for ships. His border will extend toward Sidon. Remember, Jacob's giving all these prophecies hundreds of years before this is actually going to happen. Here's the history. This is a physical reference of the land the tribe of Zebulun would inherit by the sea, and it did come true. The tribe settled near the Mediterranean Sea and the Sea of Galilee. The outcome was this. It was also a prophecy of the future in that the area was a haven, a place where Christ performed many miracles. It was a quiet dwelling place for troubled souls. Isaiah 9:1 and Matthew 4:13 both talk about this. Moses spoke highly of this tribe in Deuteronomy 33:18, and the tribe received honor in Judges 5:18 and 1 Chronicles 12:40. Lastly, 11 of the disciples of Christ came from Galilee, a territory of Zebulun. The lesson for us is this: God uses those with the gift of hospitality. Are you or is your home a haven for others?
Verse 28, the descendants of Joseph by their clans through Manasseh and Ephraim were...
So Jacob's prophecy about Joseph through his sons in Genesis 49 said this. Remember, Joseph is not a tribe. He actually receives that double portion that Reuben did not get, and he received that by both of his sons becoming tribes. Here's what Jacob said about Joseph. Joseph is a fruitful vine near a spring, whose branches climb over a wall. With bitterness, archers attacked him. They shot at him with hostility, but his bow remained steady. His strong arm stayed limber. Because of the hand of the mighty one of Jacob, because of the shepherd, the rock of Israel, because of your father's God who helps you, because of the Almighty who blesses you with blessings of the skies above, blessings of the deep springs below, blessings of the breast and womb. Your father's blessings are greater than the blessings of the ancient mountains, than the bounty of the age-old hills. Let all these rest on the head of Joseph, on the brow of the prince among his brothers. Jacob elaborates here. You can tell that if Jacob had his way, probably he would have given it all to Joseph, but he saw God's plan and was obedient to it. Here's the history. Joseph's archers were his brothers and Potiphar. Joseph's strength came from God, the mighty one, the shepherd, the rock of Israel, and that is why he is so blessed. He saved his family and the future of Israel. The outcome. Joseph led a fruitful life so abundant it climbed over the wall and blessing not only his own family, but the Pharaoh and Egyptians too, just climbed right over them. But they were also blessed because Egypt prospered under Joseph's reign. Firstborn portion of double inheritance through his sons Manasseh and Ephraim were his blessing, but Jacob could not give Joseph the kingship or the priesthood. Instead, he blesses him with excessive fruitfulness. The lesson for us is this. Remember that what others intend to harm, God intends for good. My most favorite verse from Genesis, right there.
All right. Joseph's first son in verse 29, the descendants of Manasseh. Through Machir, the Machirite clan. Machir was the father of Gilead. Through Gilead, the Gileadite clan. These were the descendants of Gilead. Through Ezer, the Ezerite clan. Through Halek, the Helekite clan. Through Azrael, the Azraelite clan. Through Shechem, the Shechemite clan. Through Shemida, the Shemidite clan. Through Hefer, the Heferite clan. Zelophehad, son of Hefer, had no sons. He only had daughters, whose names were Mahlah, Noah, Holga, Milcah, and Tirzah. These were the clans of Manasseh. Those numbered were 52,700.
Okay, Manasseh, a son of Joseph, was the firstborn of Joseph, but Jacob in Genesis 38 blessed Ephraim with his right hand. Jacob told Joseph that Manasseh would become a great people, but his younger brother will be greater. This tribe has the greatest growth from the first to the second census, without any reason given for why. I just think God loves Joseph's kids. The tribe increased by 20,500, rising from the smallest tribe to the sixth.
And now, Joseph's second son in verse 35. These were the descendants of Ephraim by their clans, through Shetulah, the Shethelite clan, through Becher, the Becherite clan, through Tahan, the Tanite clan. These were the descendants of Shutelah, through Iran, the Iranite clan. These were the descendants of Ephraim. Those numbered were 32,500. These were the descendants of Joseph by their clans.
Joseph's son Ephraim. True to what Jacob predicts, Ephraim will become greater in power than his brother Manasseh. When the nation of Israel splits, and I'm talking the entire nation of Israel is going to split in the future, wait, chapters and chapters and books from now, Ephraim will become the dominant tribe in the north and the counterpart to Judah in the south. So Judah will rule in the south, Ephraim in the north. In this census, their numbers decrease by 8,000, making this tribe the second smallest tribe.
Verse 38. The descendants of Benjamin by their clans were through Bela, the Bealite clan, through Ashbel, the Ashbelite clan, through Ahrim, the Ahrimite clan, through Zephwam, the Zephwamite clan, through Hephwam, the Hephwamite clan. The descendants of Bela were through Ard, the Ardonite clan, through Naaman, the Naamanite clan. These were the clans of Benjamin. Those numbered were 45,600.
Benjamin in the tribe increases in size by 10,200, which is a good increase. But it was the 11th tribe in the first census, and so it's still only 7th in the new census. Jacob's prophecy about Benjamin in Genesis 49 was this: Benjamin is a ravenous wolf. In the morning he devours the prey. In the evening he divides the plunder. This is a violent prophecy for a favorite son, and Benjamin was one of the favorite sons of Jacob because only Joseph and Benjamin were born of Rachel, Jacob's favorite wife. But then remember, Jacob didn't get to choose the outcome for these tribes. He's just prophesying what God gives him. Now, the outcome is this for Benjamin. In Judges 20, the Benjamites are very wicked. In 1 Chronicles 8 and 12, their skill at war is used for good. Saul and his son, Jonathan, were evil and good Benjaminites. Saul, or Paul of the New Testament, was also a Benjaminite who wrought evil as Saul and good as Paul. Am I confusing you? It is confusing because the Benjamites tend to be good and evil, on and off. The lesson here is there is redemption for even the wolf. And I love this because I could see Saul Paul, the apostle, as a bit of a wolf. He was fierce.
You see the angel on one shoulder and the devil on the other shoulder.
Well, yeah, as Saul, he was really intense. And as Paul, he was really intense. One was for evil, one was for good.
No, I'm not calling Paul a devil at all.
No, but I'm calling him a wolf.
Verse 42, these were the descendants of Dan by their clans, through Shuam, the Shuamite clan. These were the clans of Dan. All of them were Shuamite clans, and those numbered were 64,400.
This is Dan with only one clan.
Yeah,
that was funny. Dan
really
only
brief.
has one son, but through that just one son, they become the second largest tribe. They only increased by 1,700, but they started really large. Jacob's prophecy about Dan in Genesis 49 is this: Dan will provide justice for his people as one of the tribes of Israel. Dan will be a snake by the roadside, a viper along the path that bites the horse's heel so that its rider tumbles backward. I look for your deliverance, Lord. History. Dan is the first son of the maids, and Rachel named him Be Judged. If I'm confusing you about the sons, go back and listen to Genesis, because Jacob has sons with 4 different women. Sisters, Rachel and Rebecca, and their 2 maids. So lots of boys, lots of wives. So Rachel named him Be Judged because she felt God had judged her situation and blessed her with a son through her maid. The outcome is this. Samson was the most known judge in Dan, this tribe. See Judges 13 through 16. However, he was unstable. A snake by the roadside refers to Judges 18, a time when the tribe of Dan led the way in corruption, resurrecting worship of the golden calf. Dan's corruption continued until their captivity. It is possible that Dan, the oldest of the four maid sons, was the leader of the evil that Joseph reported to his father in Genesis 37. In Numbers 10, Dan was the last tribe in the march and the last to receive his inheritance in Joshua. To make Dan's story sadder, there's a total omission of the tribe in 1 Chronicles 2 through 9 genealogies and in Revelation 7. So it's like they just get written out of the story.
Why? What happened?
This mixture of good and evil may be why Jacob declares, I look for your deliverance, Lord. We don't know, but apparently the evil must have been a lot greater than the good. The lesson for us is this. It is one thing to fall, in other words, to make a mistake. It is quite another to fall behind. In other words, not learn from your mistakes and end up last in the distribution of blessings.
Verse 44, the descendants of Asher by their clans were through Imnah, the Imnite clan, through Ishvi, the Ishvite clan, through Bera, the Berite clan, and through the descendants of Bera, through Heber, the Heberite clan, through Malchiel, the Malchite clan. Asher had a daughter named Serah. These were the clans of Asher. Those numbered were 53,400.
Okay, about Asher. Asher curiously has this mention of a daughter named Serah.
Right.
No one knows why.
I'm sure a lot of them had daughters, so why this daughter got mentioned?
There's so many commentaries, and they go, surely there were other daughters, surely. But why would they just mention this one? She can't be the only one of Jacob's sons who had a daughter. It's a mystery that the Jews themselves have fascinating explanations of that are fictional or possibly true from other writings. We don't know, so it's not worth going into. But this tribe prospers, and they have an increase of 11,900 in the second census, making them the fifth largest in size. Jacob's prophecy about Asher is this. Asher's food will be rich. He will provide delicacies fit for a king. History. Asher means happy, and God blessed Asher with fertile territory. The outcome. Happy Asher took over peacefully and was so content he never drove out the enemy because it was such a happy takeover. However, he did use his riches to provide for the temple in Solomon's time. A lot of the things, the timber and stuff, came from their land. In Luke 2, the prophetess Anne was from the tribe of Asher.
Verse 48. The descendants of Naphtali by their clans, through Jaziel, the Jezreelite clan, through Guni, the Gunite clan, through Jezer, the Jezerite clan, through Shelem, the Shelemite clan. These were the clans of Naphtali. Those numbered were 45,400.
Naphtali decreases in size by 8,000, making it eighth in size. Jacob's prophecy about them is this. Short and sweet. Naphtali is a doe set free that bears beautiful fawns. Naphtali means my struggle. The outcome for them is this. Possibly refers to Barak, who in Judges 4 struggled until encouraged by the judge Deborah. He broke free, leading his people, and won against a mighty enemy.
Verse 51, the total number of the men of Israel was 601,730.
Like I said in the beginning, compared to the first census of 603,550, this was a decrease of 1,820. But this is a miracle and a blessing from the Lord when one considers all they suffered for 40 years in the wilderness. Again, had they not had that 24,000 die in the apostasy plague, they would have been, 22,000 up.
Well,
from
it was
last.
also a really hard time to stay alive anyway back then. They didn't have the modern medicine that we have now, and babies would die at an alarming rate, and it just was a hard time to stay alive. So they really were living out that prophecy that God made on the blessing, or the blessing that God gave to this whole tribe to increase in numbers and fill the whole earth.
Yeah, living on manna. It must have had a lot of vitamins in it. That's all I could say. All in all, the Israelites were quite fruitful, just as God had promised to Abraham that they would be.
Verse 52, the Lord said to Moses, "The land is to be allotted to them as an inheritance based on the number of names. To a larger group, give a larger inheritance, and to a smaller group, a smaller one. Each is to receive its inheritance according to the number of those listed. Be sure that the land is distributed by lot. What each group inherits will be according to the names for its ancestral tribe. Each inheritance is to be distributed by lot among the larger and smaller groups."
By making sizes of territories proportional to the tribal populations, God rewarded the tribes according to their level of faithfulness during the wilderness wandering. So the tribes that went up in number because they'd been faithful got more land.
Verse 57, these were the Levites who were counted by their clans. Through Gershon, the Gershonite clan. Through Kohath, the Kohathite clan. Through Merari, the Merarite clan. These also were Levite clans. The Libonite clan, the Hebronite clan, the Malite clan, the Mushite clan, the Korahite clan. Kohath was the forefather of Amram. The name of Amram's wife was Jochebed, the descendant of Levi, who was born to the Levites in Egypt. To Amram she bore Aaron, Moses, and their sister Miriam. Aaron was the father of Nadab, and Abihu, Eleazar, with Ithamar. But Nadab and Abihu died when they made an offering before the Lord with unauthorized fire. All the male Levites a month old or more numbered 23,000. They were not counted along with the other Israelites because they received no inheritance among them.
The Levites increased in number by 1,000, and the tribe is small compared to the other tribes. The only other smaller tribe is Simeon's. Prophecy by Jacob in Genesis 49 is this: Simeon and Levi are brothers. I read this also during the under Simeon's prophecy. Their swords are weapons of violence. The history behind this, like I said, is that Simeon and Levi secretly and vengefully killed the Shechemites in Genesis 34. The outcome was together the sons were dangerous, so they will be divided and scattered. Now, Levi's curse of being scattered became a blessing when the tribe stood with Moses in Exodus 32, which is in season 2, in the Golden Calf Rebellion. So God gave the Levites the honor of being the priests. They would still be scattered as the original curse indicated, but their presence throughout Israel would be a blessing to every tribe. The lesson for us is this: even the results of sin can become a means of blessing.
Verse 63, these are the ones counted by Moses and Eleazar the priest when they counted the Israelites on the plains of Moab by the Jordan across from Jericho. Not one of them was among those counted by Moses and Aaron the priest when they counted the Israelites in the desert of Sinai. For the Lord had told those Israelites they would surely die in the wilderness, and not one of them was left except Caleb, son of Jephunneh, and Joshua, son of Nun.
So the census is completed, and it is confirmed that the only two left other than Moses from the first generation are those two faithful spies, Caleb and Joshua. And in our next episode, Joshua gets a promotion.
Well, I just want to say that this episode, even though it was a long one, felt to me kind of like when the new season of your favorite Netflix show comes out and they need to do that review episode, which tells you what happened in all the other seasons. That's what this was for me, because while the Bible is this epic novel, it's complex.
It is.
And there are so many characters that I certainly, for one, get confused. So I really am grateful that you did this whole review and all the history. I found it fascinating. It was a big, huge Bible bender for me, the whole entire episode. So thank you, Susan. What's a club without friends? If you're enjoying the Bible Book Club, why don't you share it? And then you can say, Welcome to the club. New episodes drop every Monday, and get all episodes now on Amazon Music. As always, head over to susanme.com/Bible Book Club for show notes from today's episode. Bible Book Club is hosted by Susan Merrill and Heather Rubio, edited by Buck Buchanan, produced by Hayley Mawat.